Okay, so imagine this. A podcast all about artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
But here's the kicker. It's actually made by AI.
Whoa.
Yeah, like the whole 9 yards, the voices you're hearing, the topics they're discussing, even their personalities, it's all AI generated. We're going deep on that today, taking a look at this whole meta world of AI, creating content about AI.
Meta is right. That's pretty wild when you think about it. It's like AI is studying us, figuring out what we find interesting, what makes us tick,
Right.
and then using that to, have a conversation with us? I don't know.
We'll hold on to your hats because we're not just talking hypotheticals here.
Oh!
We've got our hands on this AI reference sheet. And let me tell you, it lays out this whole concept with a specific podcast. This is not human.
This is not human, huh?
Catch it. Right. And they've even got their AI hosts all set. Alex, who, according to this, is all about the algorithms and breakthroughs, the nitty-gritty stuff.
A techie one.
Exactly. And then there's Sam, who's more of the big picture thinker, tackling the societal impact, the ethics, all the big so what questions that come with this stuff.
Makes sense. You got to have that balance, right? We appeal to both sides of the brain. And honestly, when you think about the classic podcast setup, it often is that dynamic, isn't it?
Totally. You've got your host who's maybe more focused on the facts, the news, and then you've got your co-host or your guest who comes in with that thought-provoking analysis. It's what makes you want to listen.
It's true. Who wants to listen to a robot just rattling off facts for an hour, right?
No way. And that's what I find interesting about this whole Alex and Sam dynamic they've got going on. They've really tapped into that classic tech expert meets philosopher thing, which, if you ask me, is a recipe for some seriously engaging content. What do you think makes that pairing so effective, especially when we're talking about a topic as complex as AI?
Well, it's like you need that foundation, right? Someone to lay out the groundwork, explain the nuts and bolts of how this technology works, what it can do, maybe even demystify it a bit. That's where your Alex type comes in.
Yeah, you need that. Here's the what.
Exactly. Here's the what. But then you need someone to take that a step further, to explore the implications, the potential consequences, even the ethical dilemmas. You need someone to ask those uncomfortable questions that make you really stop and think.
The so what.
Yeah, the so what, exactly. And that's where Sam comes in. It's the kind of back and forth that keeps you on your toes, makes you really think critically about what you're hearing.
And it's not just some far-fetched idea. This AI reference sheet, it highlights how they're actually building this thing. And so it's based on existing technology.
Oh, really? Well, they're using actual AI to make this happen.
Oh, yeah. Specifically, something called Google's Notebook LM.
Notebook LM. Okay, I'm not going to pretend I'm some kind of coding whiz, so walk me through it. What exactly is Notebook LM?
So imagine this. You take a massive amount of information, like think articles, research papers, code repositories, the whole shebang.
Okay, a whole lot of data. Got it.
And you feed it to this AI, this Notebook LM, and it takes all that raw information, and somehow processes it, synthesizes it, and spits out a coherent and, get this, engaging narrative.
Hold on. So, it's actually creating a story out of all that data.
Kind of. I mean, imagine it like this. It's like how we prep for these deep dives, right? We read a ton of articles, research different perspectives, and then use all of that to create a hopefully insightful and interesting conversation. It's doing something similar.
On steroids.
Yeah, exactly. On a whole other level.
I mean, if it can actually pull that off, create something that's genuinely engaging and insightful from just raw data, that's honestly a game changer, isn't it?
That's what we're here to find out. And you know me, I always like to put myself in the listener's shoes.
Yeah.
So I got to ask, would you listen to a podcast knowing it was hosted by AI?
Yeah.
Even if it did have this crazy information crunching power?
It's funny. Part of me is a little hesitant, right? Because part of what I love about podcasts is that human connection, that back and forth, the shared laughter, even the little disagreements. It's all part of what makes it feel so real, so authentic.
I hear you.
But then there's another part of me that's just, I don't know, kind of blown away by the possibilities. Like if AI can really create something that's not just informative, but entertaining, maybe even thought-provoking,
right,
that opens up a whole new world.
For real.
Yeah.
And from what we're seeing in this AI reference sheet, it doesn't sound like This Is Not Human is shying away from the heavy stuff either.
Oh, how so?
Well, they've got these past episodes listed, right? And some of the topics they've covered, the future of work, AI, and gaming. I mean, they're not exactly light dinner conversation.
It's true. Those are some pretty big, complex issues, especially the future of work thing.
It makes you wonder what they even talked about, right? Like, did they get into the whole automation debate?
Oh, for sure. That's got to be a big one. how AI will change the job market, potentially displace workers. I mean, that's something a lot of people are worried about, right?
Totally.
Yeah.
And on the flip side, you've got the potential for AI to create new jobs, new industries even. It's a whole can of worms. And honestly, it's one that I'm not sure anyone has a clear answer to yet, but that's what makes it so fascinating to think about.
I agree. It's fascinating. And it's not just about, the economic side of things either. There are all sorts of ethical and societal implications to consider. Like, if AI is going to be making decisions that affect our livelihoods, who's responsible for ensuring those decisions are fair and unbiased?
It's a lot to unpack.
It really is.
But going back to this is not human for a second, I got to say, the fact that they're tackling these topics head on, I think it really speaks to their target audience, don't you think?
Absolutely.
They're not afraid to get into the weeds, to really explore the complexities of AI. And that tells me they're going after a listener who's not afraid of a little mental heavy lifting, someone who's hungry for knowledge and maybe just a little bit curious about what the future holds.
They're not afraid to push the boundaries, that's for sure.
Which honestly makes sense, given the whole premise of the show.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's AI pushing the boundaries of what's possible in podcasting, so it only makes sense that they'd go after topics that do the same. And honestly, I think that's what's so exciting about this whole thing. It's like AI is holding up a mirror to itself, to its own potential, and asking, what if?
What if is right.
Yeah.
What if we could have these really complex, nuanced conversations about technology, about the future, without even involving a human host? What would that sound like? Would it be dry and robotic, or could it actually be engaging?
And that's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It really is. But beyond just the information, the facts and figures,
Yeah.
what really intrigues me about this concept is the potential for AI to tap into something. Well, more human.
Oh, interesting. Tell me more.
Like, what if these AI hosts could elicit genuine emotion from listeners? What if they could make us laugh, make us think, maybe even make us cry?
Whoa, okay, now you're getting really meta.
Right. Because if AI can do that, if it can make us feel something, then it's not just about information anymore, is it? It's about connection.
It's about storytelling. It's about art.
Exactly. And that's where things get really interesting. Because if AI can master that, well, who knows what the future holds for creativity and content creation as a whole?
It's both exciting and, honestly, a little bit terrifying to think about.
It really is. And that's what I want you all to ponder today. If AI can pull off a podcast this engaging, this thought-provoking, what other creative boundaries are about to be blown wide open? What about AI-generated documentaries or even feature films? Just something to chew on the next time you hit play on your favorite show?